Hello, hello, hello. We are live. Okay, are we? We live? Yeah, we're live. Uh, that's actually the Battle of Kalkin Gall, I believe. That's the battle. That's what set the stage for the Japanese to surrender. Because first, before you even look at the nuclear bombs, you need to go back to the Battle of Kalkin Gall. I don't know. I honestly don't know how to spell this. It's like really confusing. But I'm not going to go into the whole strategic concept and the background and how they lost. No, I'm not going to go into that. But basically, what happened with the Battle of Khalkhin Gol was that it was an engagement at the border between Japan and the Soviet Union. I believe it was where was the yeah, it was the Soviet border or the Mongolian border, somewhere around there, I assume. But what happened was the Japanese basically got strategic. Oh yeah, it's a nearby village on the border between Mongolia and Manchuria. So it was on the border of Manchuria and Mongolia. Okay, fine. So what happened was, they just had an unidentified border clash. It wasn't really a declaration of war. But what happened was at that battle was that Japan, they attacked the Soviet Union with a border clash. But the problem was that their army is not very, how do you say, they're not very industrialized. They don't have many good tanks. The Japanese tanks were not really that good. Um, yeah, their tank position was trash, you see, told you. And their tanks were trash. Like, if you look at the Japanese tanks in World War II, they were like hot garbage. Like, seriously, hot garbage, dude. Like, so trash that they were not developed to keep pace with the competition. Dude, they had fucking 1930s tanks. The best tank of World War II was probably the T-34. I think it was the T-34. The Stug assault gun is probably definitely one of the best for sure. Um, but if you look here, the Japanese don't have any tanks that are. No, this is an assault gun. This is not a tank. It's an assault gun. See, the Japanese didn't have any Stugs. None. They didn't have any assault guns. They didn't even have any Shermans. Shermans were pretty good. Yeah, I like the Sherman. Panther is dope as fuck. What is this? Yeah, but this was not in World War II, right? All right, whatever. This is besides the point. I'm kind of backtracking here. But the reason they lost was not just because of the tanks. Now, logistically, if you look at the battle here, um, logistically, they didn't have the machinery and the supplies to supply their troops effectively. Also, material disparity, exactly. The industry was not effective. Yep, yep, yep. This is basically all of the main reasons. Now, we can go to the nuclear attack. Now, if you look at the nuclear attack, they didn't surrender because of the nuclear weapons. Um, if you didn't know that, they actually firebombed the shit out of Tokyo and they killed hundreds of thousands of people. How many people did they kill? 80 to 130,000. So, if you look at the firebombings of the Japanese cities, the US killed more Japanese with the firebombings than they killed with the nuclear attacks. Let's look at the casualty rates of the nuclear attacks. Let's see how many people died. The effects of the atomic bombings killed between 90 to 146,000 people in Hiroshima and 39 to 80,000 people in Nagasaki. Roughly half occurred on the first day. Wait, so what was the total casualties? Can you tell me the total casualties? I'm not trying to. Total casualties altogether were 135 plus 64. 135 plus 60, 195 plus 4, 199, right? 199, right? I'm not trying to like get fucked up here. Imagine I get that wrong. Okay. 199. I'm not a math major, that's funny. But yeah, I mean, now if you look at the firebombings of the Japanese cities, how much was the casualty rates? What was the casualty rates altogether? Uh, 200, 241,000 to 900,000 people were killed. Almost a million, more than a million people were wounded. 8 million people were rendered homeless. Very heavy damage to industry, bro. See, more than millions of people were killed with those firebombings. So if the Japanese were never going to surrender after the firebombings, then why would they surrender after the atomic bomb? You see, the reason they surrendered was mainly because of the Soviet declaration of war. Battle for Manchuria. This is the Soviet invasion of Manchuria. So blah blah blah, blah blah blah, blah blah blah, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. Um, yeah, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. But anyways, oh blah blah blah. Why am I saying blah blah? Just joking around. But the Japanese had been monitoring Trans-Siberian Railway traffic and Soviet activity to the east of Manchuria, and in conjunction with the Soviet delaying tactics. This suggested to them that the Soviets would not be ready to invade East Manchuria before the end of August. They did not have any real idea and no confirming evidence as to when or where any invasion would occur. They had estimated that an invasion was not likely in August 1945 or before 1946, but the Stavka had planned for a mid-August 1945 offensive and had concealed the buildup of a force of 90 divisions. Many had crossed Siberia in their vehicles to avoid straining the rail link. The Japanese were caught completely by surprise when the Soviets declared war an hour before midnight and invaded simultaneously on three fronts just after midnight, 9th of August. I mean, a lot of the times people underestimate the Soviets in World War II. Operation Operation Bagration was an amazing feat of tactics. Operation Bagration was an absolutely amazing feat of logistics, an amazing feat of surprise, an amazing feat of strategy, an amazing feat of tactics. Like there was no way that they were going to stop the destruction of Army Group Center. And consequently, coupled with the invasion of Normandy in France, they had to send um, most of their divisions that they had that were elite in the Eastern Front to France. But that's besides the point. What I'm trying to illustrate here is that the Russians were very underestimated, okay, during World War II. People were saying, okay, at the beginning, they were getting their ass whooped, but they came back. But I think a lot of people basically miss, like they basically underestimated the Soviets during World War II. That's my point. So yeah, I mean the Japanese were never going to be able to beat the Soviets in a land battle. The only option they had was nothing. The only option they had was to avoid fighting them to begin with. So yeah, I mean, look at this. Like, how are you gonna beat this? Tanks, 5,000 tanks, 2,000. How many tanks did the Japanese have? How many tanks did the Japanese have? They had 1,000 shitty tanks, and these guys had 5,000 tanks. Honestly, I don't think they. I think they could have pushed them back if they had Stug assault guns, right? uh, Most troops had deserted beforehand. Wow, that's crazy. They fucking deserted. Oh my god, so funny. Japanese civilians sometimes even joined in these attacks against the Japanese. I mean, we understand that that happened, but the rape of Nanking was different. Like, right? Like, come on. Like, are we just gonna forget about the Nanjing massacre and how they fucking decimated and raped hundreds of thousands of people? So the Japanese deserved everything they got coming to them during World War II, to be honest. But yeah, man, that's all I gotta say about this. I'm out. Peace.